And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke, like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. And in those days people will seek death, and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. The first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit.
Hey Doc, this is it.
Never mind that now, never mind that.
Why, that's me! Look at me! I'm an old man!
I'm Dr. Emmett Brown. I'm standing here on the parking lot at...
Thank God I've still got my hair! Well, what on earth is this thing I'm wearing?
Wow, this is a radiation suit.
Radiation suit? Of course, because of all the fallout from the atomic wars. This is truly amazing. A portable television studio. No wonder your president has to be an actor. He's got to look good on television.
Whoa, this is it. This is the part coming up, Doc.
No. This sucker's electrical. But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
What did I just say?
The flux capacitor stores... This sucker's electrical. But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts! Great Scott!
All right, Mr. Scott, energize.
This image and this one show just a couple of the doors that Pope Francis will open during the Jubilee year. To begin the Jubilee of Hope, the Pope will be present at the 4 papal basilicas of Rome to open the holy doors.
Attention! Control group going online for LHC beam event. We are powering up. Attention Category 1 personnel. Interlock areas are now restricted.
Beam on beam stability is good. Take your places, people.
Atlas and CMS check.
Ora inserisco il tempo di mesco. Collisioni imminenti. We have got 10 to the 13 protons per batch.
Let's hope the heavy ion guys didn't mess up.
Beams at relativistic velocities. Luminosity monitors operation.
Beamline has no restrictions.
Enable beam capture.
Accelerating the beam.
Stage 1. Lineup.
Magnets to full field.
Load functions to separation magnets.
Last P is still too high.
Yeah, we got luminosity of 10 to 34.
Inject particle beams. Filling the LHC.
Le collisioni sono attive, siamo di nuovo in linea. La cattura dovrebbe iniziare di momento in momento.
Particles in transition.
Silvano, ce l'abbiamo fatta.
Ora siamo nelle mani di Dio, Vittoria.
Arrivo subito.
This is a show about our future. The world is facing a lot of big challenges right now.
Climate change.
Creating responsible AI.
Misinformation.
Income inequality.
Dealing with infectious diseases.
But I believe we can solve them. How will artificial intelligence impact society? Crafted text to my son using Gen Z slang. Yo fam, what's good? How you vibing?
At a certain point, AI will be good enough to build a better AI. So AI builds a better AI, which builds a better, which builds 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 better.
It's getting hard to write science fiction.
There's always been conspiracy theories. We underestimate how creative Americans are.
Bill Gates is part of a reptilian race that includes Tom Hanks and Lady Gaga.
Entertainment and information are a lot closer together than they ever have been before. There's no way to stop it.
I don't have the solution.
Come on, Bill.
I have the potential to imagine the unimaginable. Think the unthinkable. See the unseeable. With the arsenal of the world's leading technology at my fingertips, I now have the ability to invent the uninventable. Rebranding into its future, Intel has enlisted House of Gaga to collaborate on a project that will showcase technology through creativity at the highest level. Our partnership will culminate in a performance that inspires to remind the world of the seed of innovation, the wizard behind the curtain, the mind behind the machine. Intel.
Chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
This is Alexander the Great, and this is Helios, the sun god, and this is Apollyon, the destroyer, the beast from the pit from the book of Revelation. As you can see, they're all the same person.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump, we're all cut from the same cloth.
One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, and idols of gold and silver, and brass and stone, and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts.
Following tradition, the first will be St. Peter's Basilica.
Stabilisco che la porta santa della Basilica di San Pietro in Vaticano sia aperta il 24 dicembre del presente anno 2024, dando così inizio al Giubileo ordinario.
Hold it. Wait. Do you have a, Oh, here, sorry.
Hey, don't...
Two figures on either side, praying beside a pyramid with the sun directly above it.
He's right. That was in front of us the whole time.
General West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
Go ahead.
Programming seventh symbol into computer. Chevron 1 is holding. Chevron 1 is locked in place.
Power output at 23%.
Chevron 2 is holding. Engage. Chevron 2 is locked in place.
It's 35%. All right, we've got ignition ready at the gate. Evacuate all personnel.
It's under the cover stones?
Yes. My father found it 1928, made out of a mineral, unlike any found on Earth.
Chevron 5 locked in place.
79%.
Chevron 6 is holding. Chevron 6 is locked in place.
This is as far as we have ever been able to get.
The next will be St. John Lateran on December 29th. On the first day of 2025, Pope Francis will go to St. Mary Major. The last will be St. Paul outside the walls on January 5th. The only holy doors that will be open during the Jubilee will be those of Rome. The Vatican says that the doors each diocese opened in 2015 were different because it was an extraordinary Jubilee. They were the so-called doors of mercy.
The Pope's decision to open the holy doors. They were not holy doors, they were called doors of mercy, because the Pope wanted to signal that mercy reaches everyone. He did not exclude anyone, and therefore, in all dioceses, it was possible to pass through the door of mercy.
In addition to the 4 major basilicas, another has been added by the Pope's request. It will be that of a prison, although it is not yet known which one. It is one of the many gestures the Pope wants to make to prisoners. Rome will have 12 Jubilee churches. One of them is St. James and Montserrat, known as the Church of the Spaniards. Another is San Salvatore in Lauro, where the relics of 2 beloved saints are located, St. June Thaddeus and Padre Pio. These churches are intended to be meeting places for pilgrims. They will also hold reconciliation and catechesis. This Jubilee period will end on January 6, 2026. After that day, an estimated 32 million pilgrims will have crossed the holy doors of the Eternal City.
We spent almost a whole day at CERN. I had the time to discuss with him the relation between religion and science. And I discussed with him whether there could be a conflict between science and religion. And we came to the conclusion, no, there cannot be a conflict. Because it depends what we call reality is different. You see, in physics, we call reality only phenomena which can be repeated, which means which can be verified at any time, at any place. Religion lives from revelation. So we agreed that science and religion are different aspects of reality which are complementary.
Yes, so the story of LHC world records started in 2009 when we brought our first beams to an energy of 1.3 TeV, which was higher than the previous record from Teratron, which was 1 TeV. Then 1 year later we pushed to 3.5 TeV, this was 2010. 2 years later, in 2012, we reached 4 TeV, which was the highest we reached during the first operating period of the LHC. This was then interrupted by a first long shutdown where we consolidated some parts of the magnets. This allowed us in 2015 to reach 6.5 TeV, again a new world record. We operated there for 3 years until we reached our second long shutdown where we did a further consolidation of the safety system of the magnet, which allowed us today to actually make the next step of 6.8 TeV, bringing us very close to the design energy of the LHC, which is 7 TeV. Now this is of course an important day for us because the beams reached this new energy for the first time, but it's only the start of a very long commissioning period which will bring us to actually collide the two beams for the experiments and provide the highest energy collisions, which should happen about 6 to 8 weeks from now.
Welcome to CERN, the European Laboratory for Particle Physics. Today, almost 17,000 researchers and engineers come to CERN to investigate the universe, how it works, what it is made of, using some of the largest and most complex pieces of the equipment in the world. In the Large Hadron Collider, we smash particles together at just below the speed of light. By doing this, the physics community has produced some fundamental discoveries. In 2012, we identified the Higgs boson. which is the manifestation of a field that gives mass to all other fundamental particles in the universe. This type of research results in huge IT and computing challenges. Things happen very fast around here. In the Large Hadron Collider, particles collide at approximately 1 billion times per second. Our data analysis needs are so great that we need to distribute the LHC data around the world to over 170 data centers and laboratories that collaborate with us. The continuous program of upgrades and consolidations to the Large Hadron Colliders and the experiments at CERN will result in the coming years to greatly increase the ICT and computing demands. This is why we keep looking at next-generation technologies like quantum computing, and why we have joined the IBM Quantum Network.
Using quantum machine learning algorithms, we're exploring how to pinpoint these complex events in a way that is much more efficient than even our fastest supercomputers, which is exciting for us because we design and build quantum computers to tackle precisely this kind of seemingly impossible challenge.
At the heart of our quantum computers are what we call qubits, the basic unit of quantum information. Unlike the bits within a classical computer that can just manipulate ones or zeros, qubits can hold much richer information. We can exploit these to calculate the boundaries around interesting events more efficiently using many more dimensions that can be visualized or handled by a classical computer. Qubits are made by trapping and controlling tiny bits of the universe, in our case, pairs of electrons. So in a way, we're using tiny parts of the universe that we do understand to help us find the other tiny parts of the universe that we don't understand.
Quantum computing may play a very significant role in helping us expand our knowledge beyond the standard model of physics. This means investigating the many open questions related to dark matter, dark energy, the relationships between gravity and quantum mechanics, and more.
You harness a wormhole, speed up one end and slow down the other end.
Go on.
I can't.
Mr. Darnell, you realize...
Please, I can't. Let's leave it at this.
How does it work? How does it work?
You have to understand, if I answer that question, it could rip a hole through everything as we know it.
But that's why you're here, isn't it? To change the past, so you're gonna have to give me something.
Dr. Pyatt, I was under the impression it was never a good idea to force a patient to divulge anything they weren't comfortable with.
I can't keep doing this.
All right. I know this must be frustrating. I can't give you everything. It just wouldn't be safe.
I'm listening.
You say you like science?
I do.
To go back and read the concepts presented by Hawking, Einstein, Lewis, light speed, black holes, wormholes. They were so close. There was just one small piece missing. I'm sure you're aware or somewhat familiar with the concept of wormholes.
Sure, yeah, they're fascinating to wonder about.
If you don't mind, could you tell me what you know?
They're a consequence of Einstein's theory of general relativity. A wormhole, in theory, would act as a shortcut or a passageway through space and time.
The physics are even simpler than your definition. A wormhole creates a tunnel, effectively cutting through two locations in space-time.
Yeah, therefore eliminating the need for three-dimensional travel through space. No more rocket ships. I like Stargate too.
Oh, wow, Stargate. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Who was that guy in it? He was really good in that old Western.
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell, he was good, wasn't he?
Listen, nothing you're telling me is new information, right? The theories about wormholes have existed for a long time, but nobody knows if they actually exist or how to find them.
But I do. They're everywhere. Just a matter of seeing them and harnessing them.
But you haven't explained either. How do you see them? How do you harness them? A machine, some sort of gateway?
Of course you need a machine to sustain a wormhole. But this is where I stop. I have given you the gun. Let me keep the bullets.
Please continue.
I found a way to go back. I was alone, but I found it. My old partner was the only one that knew, but for now, it'll stay that way. The only question is, can the ripples I create be enough to change the future? Or create an alternate one?
Ripples?
Think of the water in that glass as time. Time moves forward constantly, untouched, as still as the water. Go back and try to change something, and it creates a ripple effect. Change has to catch up with time. And everything around it either changes or suffers.
If you've ever been exposed to soap operas, the music in the soundtrack should evoke memories of a long-running show.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. That's the kind of subtlety being leveraged by the filmmaker. Darnell, the time traveler, an inventor of time travel who destroyed the future, says, think of the water in that glass as time. Time moves forward constantly. Untouched, it's as still as the water. Go back and try to change something, bang, and it creates a ripple effect. Read between the lines. The particle collision pictured creates a ripple effect in time, a time impact event. Who is trying to go back or forward to try to change an outcome? Darnell is. That's why he's there meeting with Dr. Pyatt and speaking so persuasively. Darnell himself is playing the role of the destroyer of worlds, the dancing Lord Shiva. Under the lamp, we see an idol of Shiva doing the cosmic dance of destruction, a miniature of the one featured at the CERN facility. There's a horned mask on the wall that represents the horned god Cernunnos, the god of the abyss, who is continually being invoked in ceremonies where magic circles are cast with salt, just like in the Symmetry film. Yes, Cernunnos, C-E-R-N-U-N-N-O-S. Also, Nodens, Abaddon, Apollyon the Destroyer. It's a clever set. The table lamp paints light on the wall in the shape of an hourglass, hinting of a measure of the sands of time. Under the lamp, you'll find a pitcher of water, a reservoir as drawn from the river of time. Mr. Darnell's pocket watch rests on the coffee table with his time water glass, with the hinged case being a model of folded time-space. The box of tissues on the table is a cube. Think of the cube in the Marvel comic universe, which has to do with a multi-dimensional binding and the control of vast time-space energies. Again, what kind of machine are they talking about in the clip? Did you see the picture on the wall that artfully illustrates the particle collisions? Darnell mentioned small pieces, like subatomic particles. He mentioned a gun and bullets, and the collider fires protons like bullets from a machine gun. Did you notice the picture of the full moon next to the one of the particle collisions? That's a celestial timekeeper, the one that rules the night according to the foundational cosmological text of Genesis chapter 1. It's appointed for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and to give light on the earth, which is a matter of the revelation of supernatural insight and the Hebrew Moedim, the prophetic schedule of holy days. The moon silently affects the tides of the seas on earth in endless cycles. With that influence due to the interaction of gravity relative to mass, and with the water and the sea as a metaphor for time, that's a potent symbol in the context of the particle collider, with its vast array of enormously powerful ring magnets arrayed in a giant ring. Sonic energy is also used to accelerate the particles, so the LHC literally sings as the particles dance. Symmetry's opera and dance. When Darnell bangs a coffee table and we see the imagery of the particle beam collision so clearly illustrated, is there any doubt about what time machine they're talking about? With all the clues, do they really need to say it? Need more evidence? Darnell doesn't actually hit the coffee table with his fist, not directly. He hits a book that sits on the table, which is wrapped around with 2 rubber bands, one red and one green. The red band represents a stream of particles traveling around the LHC, and the green band is the opposing stream. The crossing of the bands represents the crossing of the streams where the collisions occur. He strikes the rubber bands at their crossing. Bang! What's in Darnell's little black book? Notes on particle physics, time-space manipulation, and time travel? Are the bands made of rubber because time is flexible and in flux, able to contract and expand? Is there a red shift of the beams relative to one another, where he's slowing down one and speeding up the other, which Darnell had already claimed was a general principle involved with harnessing a wormhole? There's another aspect of the rubber band bound book that should be mentioned. The 2 men are actually the same man who traveled back in time on a mission to convince himself not to make the mistake of building the device that would destroy the world in 50 years' time. The rubber bands represent the life of the man, where there are 2 at once, at the crossing of the future with the past in the present.
Quantum computing might not provide all the answers, but it may help us see the universe more clearly and ask better questions.
Imagine, if you will, a hidden dimension, a parallel universe, soon to be revealed by us through the veil, by the parting of the veil by the people who work at CERN to reveal magical creatures entering into this reality, bringing forth the Antichrist. You have entered the Twilight Zone. This is Tim Clark with End Times Matrix News, and we have a special alternative reality show today with Chris, and we're going to be discussing all these rituals going on this side of the veil, trying to open up the rituals on the other side of the veil. And how are you doing, Chris, today?
I'm doing great.
Wow. This is really, really, really interesting, the things that we have been discussing, paralleling off of some of the nice feedback that our viewers have left on the previous shows. We were going to discuss today some interesting things, and I think we're going to start off with the new release by J.K. Rowling called Fantastic Beasts.
The wizarding world you thought you knew is much larger than you imagined. History has many secrets. The official story is never the whole story. Look beyond the surface, and you will find another world running parallel to our own. A secret world where magic is real. Ilvermorny, Skinwalkers, the Witch Trials, and the Magical Congress of the United States of America. These aren't myths, for the history of America is more amazing than you could ever imagine.
As you can see in this J.K. Rowling, her next venture outside the Harry Potter series, you're witnessing the revelation of a parallel society in the United States or North America. That's this magical society that's been trying to direct what we would call the New Atlantis, the occult agenda of the New Atlantis, to bring in the Antichrist system. So we have J.K. Rowling releasing this movie in November 18, 2016. It definitely parallels with what we've been discussing with CERN. She's just really doing another revelation of topics such as Pandora's Box, also the Goosebumps series, where things come out of the books. This is going to be things coming out of CERN, the parallel universe. What do you think about all this, Chris?
Actually, this falls along with the Lord of Jubilees, in which the Pope just did at St. Peter's Basilica. The Lord of Jubilees is the Bennu bird, which is the resurrection of Osiris, which is the Antichrist to the occult as Horus. So we're looking at the Lord of Jubilees, which was called upon from the beginning of human history by witches, sorcerers, wizards, monks, priests, and alchemists since the beginning of time. And so we have CERN, which is the alchemy machine, which is playing alongside of this ritual, which is very significant in history because Pope Francis called upon this jubilee out of nowhere, and it has to do with certain alignments. And we have this total solar eclipse.
Right, the one in Indonesia that's going to be witnessed in Indonesia. The Informed Christian video pointed out that it's significant connected to the spring equinox solar eclipse from last year, which was very interesting. So it's almost a signs in the heaven kind of bookend to an opening here of a time period that's taking us towards this Jubilee of November 20th. And this J.K. Rowling's release was November 18th, which parallels the release of these magical creatures. So again, we're looking at the opening of doorways to this other dimension. So Pope Francis, we touched on that in the previous video, the opening of the doorways at the Basilica, which was symbolic of the Janus, opening of the doors for warfare.
Delivery.
Update arrives on front doorstep. Messenger not sighted. What could you be? An alien artifact? Huh? Bring off life? Oh, you're a box. Very handsome. Commanding. Where did you come from? Now, if my measurements are correct,
Hold it. Wait. Do you have a, Oh, yeah, sorry.
Hey, don't...
Two figures on either side, praying beside a pyramid with the sun directly above it.
He's right. It was in front of us the whole time.
General West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
Go ahead.
Programming seventh symbol into computer. Chevron 1 is holding. Chevron 1 is locked in place.
Power output at 23%.
Chevron 2 is holding. Engage. Chevron 2 is locked in place.
It's 35%. All right, we've got ignition grid at the gate. Evacuate all personnel.
It's under the cover stones?
Yes. My father found it 1928, made out of a mineral, unlike any found on Earth.
Chevron 5 locked in place.
79%.
Chevron 6 is holding. Chevron 6 is locked in place.
This is as far as we have ever been able to get.
Great Scott! This could destroy the space-time continuum! I don't belong here! My friend, where we're going, we don't need. Actually, I have no idea what we'll need.
Hearts open to those who hunger.
Pope Benedict, if you didn't know, one of the more interesting pieces to Pope Benedict, coming from the Nazi background, and also he was the head of the Office of Inquisition that had a different name, but he was one of the members of the Rhine Group, which was the liberal German faction, is what they call it, that was putting down the traditions of the Catholic Church masses that had stood since 600 AD. So in 1960s, when the Vatican II happened and Pope Benedict was involved in this, he's instrumental in changing the Catholic masses and the liturgy and all this stuff, an attack on tradition. This is typical of the Illuminati methodology of taking down nation states and religion and things like that. So he was there, and this November 20th is the 50th anniversary of the ending of that. And this Pope was there when Pope Francis opened the doors and hugged him. And what ritual did we witness with that?
Pope Francis was wearing the Dagon hat, which is the god of Saturn. He hugged the other pope, which is, I do believe we have two popes running things right now, the one that wears the gold, the one that wears the silver. Pope Francis signifies the moon, and Pope Benedict signifies the sun as he wears the gold, because this is a sun and moon ritual bringing them together for peace. There must be destruction before there is peace, and the Lord of Jubilees represents this rising of the phoenix. They actually started the Jubilee as a conception of when the Christ was put into the womb. When we know that their Christ is not our Christ. It is just symbolic to them of when they are wanting their Antichrist to be birthed. The phoenix is associated with the Hindu god Vishnu. We know that Vishnu is also Jupiter, and he's connected to Imhotep, which is the mother of Ham's wife. Ham was the first that did the stretching of the cord ceremony, which is the Jubilees. And we know that the Jubilees has to do with the rising of the star Sirius.
Yeah. And I think Canaan was the one that was cursed, who was the son of Ham, right?
Right. The Bin stone is actually named after the mound that was a sacred stone. This is in the Temple of Ra, which is Saturn, in Heliopolis. It was the location the first rays of the sun fell, according to the Egyptians. It is the prototype for later obelisks and capstones of the Great Pyramid. So all of the obelisks we see, like in Washington, in the Vatican, all the obelisks that we see around the world, in Berkeley, California, these obelisks represent the Bin stone. It represents the stone in which the Bennu bird was standing on to bring the rays of the sun on the capstone of the pyramid to birth the Ogdode. From Orion is where the gate opens, and CERN wants to open a gate. CERN is a musical instrument. It has glass plates with words on them, with beams going through them.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's like having a sheet of notes up there and shining light through it. It's quite a complicated frequency and form type of old magic being conducted by CERN. I remember that Malachi Martin, the Jesuit priest, he discussed about the enthronement of Lucifer in the Vatican around the time of the end of the Vatican II Council. It was in the late 60s, and Vatican II, I believe, was around 65. And here we are having the culmination of this 50-year ritual being performed with CERN as the musical instrument, basically bringing this Apollo character or Nimrod character back.
Right, because it actually is a resurrected ritual.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually tricking people into thinking that they are represented in Jesus Christ with the Virgin Mary, when in all actuality, they are doing a ritual, because Jesus doesn't need to rise again. He rose, and the Bible says that. He doesn't need to rise again. Their God of the dead, which they worship gods of the dead, and we've proved this through our videos with the skull worship, with the double-headed eagle that Albert Pike wears also. He's a Freemason. It's called the 33rd degree of order out of chaos. And this has to do with the destruction and rebirth of Shiva, the destruction and rebirth of the Bennu, which is the Lord of Jubilees, which is the ritual that they started in December, which ends in November. It is the rebirth. It's the ashes and the rebirth of Osiris, which he is Horus as the resurrected Osiris. That's the black star. That's the star that David Bowie was singing about. And so we have all this ritual stuff going on. And not only that, we have Lady Gaga in her video actually shows a unicorn coming out of her. She is birthing a unicorn in this video, and it shows it coming out of the capstone. So this is actually a ritual that she's doing, and we know that Lady Gaga, her name means Pluto, which was the son of Saturn. Pluto is Hades. When Osiris died, he was killed by Set. He went into Hades as Pluto. The Bennu bird was the Ba, soul of the god Osiris. Some spells in the Book of the Dead aim to assist the deceased to transform themselves into Bennu birds so that they can travel freely between worlds. So we're talking about a parallel world, and the Bennu, which we know that Hermes and Thoth, Enlil, he was the one who transferred the souls of the dead from one world to another. As far as the occult world goes, I mean, this isn't transferring them to heaven.
Right.
These are gods of the dead.
Right. It's the gods of the dead with the Ogdoad again. Anubis, Hermes, and Pan, always guarding the gateways to the underworld. We're looking at this doorway portal opening, and what Chris and I have talked about previously is the use of CERN as a open sesame machine, an alchemy machine, a musical instrument that works off frequencies to open doors. And this is one of those interesting topics that I've always enjoyed, that takes us back to Pan and the flute, to Mozart and the magical flute, takes us back to any of the old cartoons that you can remember where they play a sequence of keys on an organ and the sliding bookcase opens up. It's always about opening gateways, opening doorways, which is what this Jubilee seems to be related around with CERN and the opening of the doorway and the rolling out of the beast system.
We've talked about the rituals of Mars, which is the god of war. After the destruction will come in a new system.
Yep. And we also are talking about this false peace that's being brought in. This follows in parallel with the Jerusalem Post about Obama going to use the United Nations to divide Jerusalem. And we had talked about this in the previous year, but this article is out today and we'll include that. But again, it's Obama with splitting Jerusalem. Of course, anytime you split Jerusalem, this is symbolic of the end times devastations to those Gentile nations that come against Jerusalem and things like that. So he will bring destruction down on us by doing that, which is nothing new for Obama. Everything he does is designed to destroy the United States. And the LA Times just announced, according to Grindle, he had a very in-depth rollout of the beast system with the smartphones and the retinal identification to eliminate the credit cards and the pins, so that you have the biometrics of your retinal display with the smartphone. So therefore, the smartphone is on every person and it tracks every person. Police can locate you with your smartphone. Anybody can track you with the smartphone. Anytime you're using your MapQuest or any of those things, it says give up your location, right? So it knows where you are and it knows where you're going. It's the control grid of the beast system, controlling digital currency through biometrics and tracking every move that you make. And of course, as Grindle points out in his video, they can tax you anytime they feel like it, and they could take your money anytime they feel like it, because everything's digital. I think there was also a mention that Sweden says there's 5 years until cash is completely eliminated from their system. So it's going to be really interesting as we progress. Basically, the general thinking is that we're rapidly approaching hostilities in the short term, but that the CERN events and the completion of the Antichrist rituals connected to CERN are supposed to occur according to these rituals around. And again, this is not date setting, this is just following their Jubilee numbers that they're laying out. It seems that from the close of the Vatican II Council to the 1120 is the 50 years. Of course, they're doing their Bennu bird rituals and their solar rituals and their lunar rituals, marrying of heaven and earth. The point that we're making in this video, of course, is the parallel reality that exists that we've uncovered during these end times through the waking up process, revealing the occulted, hidden world of Lucifer and his minions and disguised rituals of the pseudo-Christian, the fake Christian churches enacting these rituals in front of everybody as Christian rituals of some sort, but they're actually Roman pagan rituals that are designed to bring in the establishment of the Antichrist and the beast system that we've been talking about. And we're going to continue to follow this topic, of course. It just seems that we get so much on our plate every day that we could just continue to add video after video on these topics as new, crazier things are revealed in these end times. We'll stay on top of this and we'll keep bringing out these things as long as we're able to, right, Chris?
Right. I just wanted to say, too, that in reference to the Bennu and the Ben stone, Enlil was the god of Nippur, and his throne was the ziggurat. And what they would do, the people would have to speak all one language in order for him to come down for his power. That is what CERN is doing. It has all the languages on glass plates, calling this Bennu, this Lord of Jubilees. This is why the Pope did this Jubilee ritual in order for the phoenix to rise, and this is why war is coming. The elections are going to be in November. Well, this is the end of the Jubilee. This is when the Romans would announce a new emperor at the end of the Jubilee. This is what they're doing for their new king. We don't know if this is when the Antichrist is going to come down and the portal is going to open, or if this is just something that they're doing in order for the 10 kings to come together to gain its power and for people to get the mark of the beast before the Antichrist comes. This is just things that we're watching that is coming into play that we're trying to explain in the end times according to their ritual and their gods, which they're tricking. 10 million people will walk through that basilica.
It's amazing, this ritual. It is ritual when you're watching what the Vatican is doing, just complete ritual, bringing in the Antichrist system.
Right, the New World Order that was spoken of Pope John Paul II when he kissed the Quran, and he called in for a New World Order. Then we have George Bush Sr. calling in for the New World Order.
As a real skull and bones man would call in for the New World Order, because that's their only job. Him and John Kerry and any other skull and bones out there, that's their job.
That's right. And this is what they want to do, is raise their skull and bones Antichrist from Orion. The end of ancient is marked by the entrance of Alexander the Great in 322 BC, skull and bones number. So the end of the ancient Jubilee was marked with war, destruction, and rising of a new king.
Destruction is definitely a part of it, whether it's financial systems or world systems. Again, the Jubilee, according to the biblical Jubilee, was supposed to bless those who followed the Jubilee and be a blessing. But when you don't follow, it becomes a curse. We're going to see the curse side as far as everybody being knocked into this beast system at the end of this Jubilee.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Okay, relax, Doc. It's me. It's Martin.
Oh, it can't be. Just sent you back to the future.
Yeah. Oh, I know you did send me back to the future, but I'm back. I'm back from the future.
Great Scott. My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious Great Scott! Jennifer could conceivably encounter her future self. The consequences of that could be disastrous.
Doc, what do you mean?
I foresee two possibilities. One, coming face to face with herself 30 years older would put her into shock and she'd simply pass out. Or two, the encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe. Granted, that's a worst-case scenario. The destruction might in fact be very localized, limited to merely our own galaxy.
Well, that's a relief.
Marty, you're gonna have to do something about those clothes. If you walk around town dressed like that, you're liable to get shot.
Or hanged.
What idiot dressed you in that outfit?
You did.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts! Great Scott!
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
Sorry, Doc. It's all my fault you're stuck back there. I never should have let Biff get to me.
There are plenty worse places to be than the Old West. I could have ended up in the Dark Ages. They probably would have burned me at the stake as a heretic or something.
There's a video called Happy at CERN that the folks at the US LHC uploaded to YouTube in November of 2014. It's getting some play because folks are seeing a connection to the Mandela effect. And so they should. You don't have to be Einstein to see this as incriminating evidence and admission that they're responsible. We're not the first ones to give this some attention, but we're going to go deeper into the symbolism, shining more light in the darkness to bring their shadowy agendas into view. Here's the most interesting bit.
If you feel like that's what you want to do, bring me down, can't none bring me down, the love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down, I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
All through the video, people are dancing to the song Happy by Pharrell Williams. There's a few flying and spinning stunts with green screen special effects, but this guy in the messy office stands out like a sore thumb. What's going on here? Bottom line, it's a song and dance routine. This song and dance is intended to deceive, to mislead. It's an evasive ploy, a distraction, misdirection. We are happy at CERN. Okay, but look at the other signs. He's got placards hanging around his neck. On number 1, and Mandela. His shirt has math on it, which is a clue. It means do the math, solve the equation. On the wall poster there's a big piece of a jigsaw puzzle. It means there's a puzzle here, find the pieces and put it together. In the James Bond franchise, the first actor to play the role of Bond was Barry Nelson in 1954. The orange sign says Mandela. Do the math. Barry Nelson plus Mandela equals Barry Nelson Mandela. The phenomena that has become known as the Mandela effect is named for the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. Many people remember that he died in the early 80s when he was in prison, yet somehow all the evidence suggests that he got out of prison and lived until 2013. This guy is doing his version of the song and dance routine with a sign. We are happy at CERN. The @ symbol is a sign that tells us that they know how to use symbols. He covers his face with it. He gestures with it as his contribution to the song and dance routine. It's providing cover, not so much for his face, but for the real meaning of what's going on. It's not just cover for the scene, and we know this because what's written on the sign tells us that the meaning of the entire video is hidden and revealed. The guy is playing peekaboo, a game you play with infants. Now you see him, now you don't. Isn't this the way of the Mandela effect? One day it's mirror, mirror on the wall, and the next day it's magic mirror on the wall. Peekaboo. Folks, we're being mocked. See all the piles of paper? Really, who has an office like that? It's part of the set design. Think of how the Mandela effect deals with a collection of memories, like a stack of papers in a collection of documents. Some bound, some unbound. They're in the business of shuffling memories around like documents in big piles. The sight of such a mess and the obvious potential there is for piles to topple over raises stress in many people. This is one of the results of the Mandela effect, which is really stressing a lot of people out. There's more symbols here, and we're going to keep exposing them. But do you see how this is an admission that they're responsible for the effect without them actually coming right out and saying it? Here's a little scene where they're dancing all over and around Code 33.
If you feel like happiness is the truth, like happiness is the truth, like happiness is the truth.
The number 33 is a big deal, not just to the Freemasons. Notice the other emergency vehicle is signaling the mirroring of fire. As above, so below. Fire is one of the 4 elements honored with its watchtower or guardian when a magic circle is cast for the performance of a ritual. As we play through the context of this scene with the firemen, you'll see how this is part of the ritual casting of a magic circle. Witches cast a circle beginning with air, and so we see a man flying through the air. Fire comes next, then water, then the earth, and the circle is cast. They show us one of the circles of the LHC as the magic circle. To show us the water, they do some charades with a group waving their arms, then a woman making a wave. We see big tanks and lots of the color blue. I think they obfuscate the water sequence and extend it because water is a symbol of time, and that's really what they're hiding. Here's a screenshot from 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a 33 on the counter. Player 1, player 2. Do you think we're being played? The video ends a few seconds later. Game over? Is that why they're so happy, because they think it's game over? The score showing is rather one-sided. You have to admit, with the reality of the Mandela effect, it looks like their boast is legit. However, this game over bit they're dancing all over, it ain't over till it's over, and it ain't over yet. There are some other symbols in this commercial that should really speak to you about what's going on here. See this design on the pillow? It's called a mandala. These designs are used for meditative purposes, for attaining altered states of consciousness for the purpose of establishing a connection with the divine, which is to say, entering into communion with demons. Mandala. Think Mandela, like Nelson Mandela and the Mandela effect. This phenomenon that has become known as the Mandela effect has captured a lot of people's attention, but most have no idea really what to make of it. This mandala design on the pillowcase is a message. Let it speak to you in the context. The Mandela effect is a demonstration of the power to turn back time, to manipulate history itself. These sci-fi channel producers are literally magicians who are practicing ritual magic through the embedding of time codes and occult symbols, even a form of time magic. It's about the power to turn back time, which is the whole premise of the commercial. We refer to magic and time magic. This is CERN's deal, which gives homage to the horned god invoked during ceremonial magic. CERN knows. What is the technology behind it? Is it due to the dark matter? Is it due to the counter-rotating fields of energy as the energetic particle beams ring around the ancient temple dedicated to Apollo? Time itself is being toyed with, and this is the game changer. So, they have some way to influence and manipulate present reality. How would such an effect be managed? The historical facts manipulated, and even matter itself altered in the past. It's the alchemy of science magic. Manipulating reality is what magicians do. This guy who's covering his eyes with the sign may be some kind of scientist, but he's also practicing the art of deception. Those responsible for the production are adepts in the arts of the Master Magician's Book of Lies. The sign with the @ symbol is being moved along a path, pulling it to the side and back to cover his face a few times, then he moves it down. All the while his right hand is held stationary, signaling thumbs up. The relative motion of the hands highlights the contrast. This gesturing signals that he's on the left-hand path, which is to say, following the occult Luciferian way. It also speaks of a knowing that he's not being straight up, that while on one hand he's giving us the impression that it's all good, that this all should have our approval, and that we should be happy like everybody at CERN. But on the other hand, they're really going down the left-hand path, pursuing secret and magical agendas. There is subterfuge. Their activities are subversive. They're cloaked for a reason. Their science is there for the operation of magicians. Instead of dancing around, this guy is just sitting on his butt, keeping it covered. Everyone else is grooving to the beat of Pharrell Williams, pouring their energy into this. It's hard to resist. Magically, this is an energy-raising ritual, and you can be assured that this is being magically harnessed for a specific intention. Did you notice that as soon as the math magician appears, the music changes? This part of the song is known as the bridge. They set this up on purpose to leverage the bridging as part of the occult scheme. After the math magician scene where we're so cleverly not told about the Mandela effect, the bridge continues, and we see a guy spinning around against the backdrop of several scenes at CERN. From one perspective, he's a victim of mind control programming, placed into the happy state, the trance state through ritual sodomy. He's spinning out of control while he's being programmed through space and time. Nothing can hold him down. He's gone over the rainbow, fallen down the rabbit hole. In the context of the Mandela effect, his spinning through space and time is allegorical. His life has been impacted in such a way that he has no more anchor to the past. He's lost his connection to reality because his memory can no longer be trusted. Why the bridge? A bridge is for spanning across to get you from one place to another. Where are they taking us? That's a question that needs to be asked. They're demonstrating that they can take us over a bridge. Where are we going? The song offers a hint in the line, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. We know what this means. This message is being sent in a lot of ways, and it's getting very familiar. The folks responsible for CERN are illumined, Luciferian. They're going for the big win, to break through the glass ceiling, to use another one of their expressions. Their intention, scientifically and magically, is to break out of the constraints of this mortal coil and this space-time dimension. They're going after the mastery of space and time.
The answer that led those who've been told for so long by so many to be cynical and fearful and doubtful about what we can achieve, to put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day. To put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day. To put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day.
Game over? Is that why they're so happy, because they think it's game over? The score showing is rather one-sided. You have to admit, with the reality of the Mandela effect, it looks like their boast is legit. However, this game over bit they're dancing all over, it ain't over till it's over, and it ain't over yet.
To put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day.
The folks responsible for CERN are illumined, Luciferian. They're going for the big win, to break through the glass ceiling, to use another one of their expressions. Their intention, scientifically and magically, is to break out of the constraints of this mortal coil and this space-time dimension. They're going after the mastery of space and time.
To put their hands on the arc of history
and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day.
What you just saw there was a photo shoot from a movie that came out in 2009, Angels and Demons, with Tom Hanks. It was shot there at the facility of CERN, there in Switzerland. And what I want to establish here is, most of you probably know this, but for those who are going to see my work for the first time, I want to establish a couple of quick things before we move on into this video. First, we're going to address CERN and what the Director of Research in Scientific Computing there, Sergio Bertolucci, says in his own words. And it's very important what he says. The Large Hadron Collider could open a doorway to an extra dimension, and out of this door might come something, or we might send something through. So there you have it in his own words. It is no accident that Angels and Demons was done at a photo shoot here at this facility, because that's what's going on. Is they are trying to communicate with angels and demons, things that Solomon knew, things that have been in the past that were destroyed, and that they are trying to build back this technology and bring it back that was destroyed in the days of Noah of old. The other company I'm going to talk about now, and I'm going to play the quote, is D-Wave, and what it's about, and in their own words telling you again what they're trying to do. I'll play the clip now from one of the founders.
So you may have heard this word quantum computing. It's often, people have the misconception that it's some kind of newfangled supercomputer. It's decidedly not that. Quantum computers allow us to access hidden features of nature, new dimensions, and if we can access these sort of hidden dimensions at scale, we could have unimaginable computing power.
So there you have it. Two companies that are backed with billions and billions of dollars, D-Wave and CERN, both attempting to delve into dimensions, the hidden realms around us, things that are put in place for a reason, for safety, our safety, humanity's safety. Next, I'm going to play a clip that is a behind-the-scenes clip of Angels and Demons from the director himself, Ron Howard. And listen very carefully to what he says. And then I'm going to connect a dot to show you what they're attempting to do is nothing new. It's been tried many, many times. And I will connect the dots for you on that. Enjoy this clip. I'll be right back.
For centuries, science has been trying to understand on a literal basis so many aspects of our world, including the moment of creation.
Take your places, people. Atlas and CMS.
Currently at CERN, particle physicists are conducting experiments hoping to recreate the Big Bang. They're hoping to understand how our universe came into being.
So you heard it from his own mouth, Ron Howard, the director. What CERN is attempting to do is to learn the universal language of creation. They're trying to back engineer how we were created and try to understand that. Instead of turning to a creator or a god, they believe in the Big Bang. So what I'm going to show you now is a video put out by CERN. And everybody's seen this that has followed the conspiracy behind CERN. we are happy at CERN. But I want to show you something that nobody has touched on, that I know of, and even myself. During this video they were putting out, they were dancing, it's been decoded, all of that. But also in the middle of this video there's a gentleman who is holding a sign, and I'm going to show it here, Bond 1 and Mandela. Now, whether you believe in the Mandela effect or if you even know what that is, there's plenty of things out there on the internet about Mandela effect. But what I want to state to you here is, even myself, the Bond 1, I was looking for the James Bond connection. The first one, the movie James Bond. The first one is Casino Royale with Barry Nelson. Thus the last name Nelson Mandela. But it goes deeper than that. To throw you off here, here's the connection. Bond 1, the first Bond, and what the James Bond movies are based on is none other than John Dee. That's right, the advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. He was a mathematician, astronomer, astrologer, occult philosopher. He dove into alchemy, divination, Hermetic philosophy. Also very interesting, this is why I'm saying this is the connection. In his last 30 years of his life, he was attempting to commune with the angels in order to learn universal language of creation and bring about the pre-apocalyptic unity of mankind. In other words, just like the study of Shiva, when you dive into the deity of Shiva, where the serpent is eating itself, snake eating itself, the same thing is going on. Bring about destruction of mankind and start over. Bring about another Big Bang destruction and start over. It's all the same thing, just told different ways, is what they believe in. This is what's going on at CERN and D-Wave. For those who have seen Lucifer Through the Looking Glass, my project, Alice is a code word for Lucifer, and that's why I named it. Instead of Alice Through the Looking Glass, it is Lucifer Through the Looking Glass, of what is being attempted and what is going on here. Notice that one of the detectors is called Alice of CERN, so it's no accident. So you start connecting more and more dots of what is really going on. John Dee was the first James Bond. One of the reasons he came up with the idea of 007 is, of course, you've heard the story of John Dee signing the letters, the important information to Queen Elizabeth I, 007. And for centuries, I guess people have assumed that that's the 00 and a 7. But back in the day, nobility and royalty, especially Queen Elizabeth I, they used to wear lorgnettes. And those are eyeglasses with a handle, which is 00 and then the handle meaning 7. And what that was stating was, when John Dee would sign that on the paperwork that was sent in the communications, it was for her eyes only, for the Queen, for her eyes only. And even James Bond movie, there's a James Bond movie for your eyes only. So that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily a 7. It was 00 and then the lorgnette emblem. So that's what that means. And there's other things that are associated with that play into that. From Facebook, you've got, it looks like 2 balls and a cane, 2-ball cane, which comes from that. The Facebook, which we all know, they're spying on us. They use Facebook. We freely give information to Facebook when we open it up. That's why they call it a profile. It's a profile on you, and you share what you eat, everything. There's no telling what people share on Facebook. I just share information. I don't share my personal information on there. But anyway, Facebook used as spying, which also James Bond, spying, the connection. James Bond is a spy for the Queen of Great Britain. It's all connected, all symbolism mixed with reality that is going on now in the 2017. So you see the connections there. Also in Freemasonry, the first reference to Tubal-Cain in Freemasonry is found in the Legend of the Craft, where he's called the founder of Smithcraft. Tubal-Cain was a master of forging weapons, in which 33rd degree Freemasonry and Master Rosicrucian. Manly P. Hall, this is what he says. This is about him and his weapons. The Mason must follow in the footsteps of his forefather Tubal-Cain, who, with the mighty strength of a war god hammer, his sword into a plowshare. Tubal-Cain is the password given in the 3rd degree of Blue Lodge of Master Mason. So, I mean, it's all through Masonry. We know NASA is covered with Freemasons. We shouldn't believe anything they're telling you, because it's all illusion, leading you astray to believe in aliens, whatever you want to say. That's a whole nother video. In the Bible, this is, Tubal-Cain is described in the Bible under Isaiah 2:4. He will judge between the nations and will settle disputes for many peoples. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. And also in Joel 3:10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weakly say, I am strong. For these reasons, Tubal-Cain has been consecrated among Masons of the present day as an ancient brother. His introduction of the arts of civilization having given the first value to property. Tubal-Cain has been considered among Masons as a symbol of worldly possessions. Let me repeat that. Tubal-Cain has been considered among Masons as a symbol of worldly possessions. So what that is telling you right there, for all you Masons out there that claim you're Christians, here's what Christ says about worldly possessions. Matthew 6:19-21. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through or nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So there you have it. Freemasonry disguised as some kind of Christianity. And they're really a brotherhood that secretly communicate amongst themselves to protect the brotherhood, per se.
Me and Joe were talking about the legal system. See, I'm suing the guy that ripped me off for this stuff.
Joe, do you have any experience in a court of law?
1987, Joe Gorelli is arrested on a drunken disorderly. Case dismissed. 1989, again, drunk and disorderly. Case dismissed. Besides, Jimmy's case is in the bag, because we know something that the other side doesn't. That all federal, state, and local judges are members of a certain obscure sect of the Freemasons.
Now, hold on. Our strategy is that all judges are Masons?
Well, there's more to it than that.
Like what?
Well, there's a secret Masonic word which, when uttered, obligates judges to rule in your favor.
Wait a minute. You're basing my whole case on some silly secret word?
Mr. James.
Come on, Joe, give it up.
Tubal-Cain.
Tubal-Cain?
Sorry.
Those were some clips from a TV show back in the 90s called News Radio. And yes, I agree that if you go to court and you mention Tubal-Cain that you're going to get off. No, I do not. But what it is showing you, and kind of mocking us that we don't know this, but there is an unwritten language that is going on between the brotherhood that has been passed down for centuries and centuries. That where John Dee left off and his discoveries, things that he was working on, that it has been passed on. It's still continuing today under other names, alchemy and those things like that. They were mixing magic, science, and religion all together. It was just a melting pot. I also find it very interesting that a very famous Arthur C. Clarke, a science fiction writer, has a great quote. It says, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And when you start researching and connecting the dots of what's going on with NASA, technology, the magic of the Illuminati and music behind the Illuminati, the frequencies and tones. They are the builders, and nothing has changed. All it is has been repackaged under new names for our day and time.
INS RAM coordinates.
Form 1 and fuel ticket.
On board.
Circuit breakers.
Wait does not return.
Oxygen pressures.
5,
Take off warning.
We have many.
Start. Central and
2,
Check.
1.
He is off course. This is Chase 1, over. He has broken trajectory.
Roger.
Do you read?
Advise you aboard, over. Repeat, advise you cancel phase 2.
Are you decompressing? Over.
Are reading unsafe levels of nitrogen.
It's broken the sound barrier.
Mach 1.3.
Buckaroo, do you read? Commence braking procedure, over.
Just be cool. Share hope.
Access negative. Pneumatic pressure negative.
We are looking at 500 degrees.
We are in pursuit. He is gaining, over.
He's heading
The air cycle packs are not maintaining.
Eject, Buckaroo! Eject!
HB-88, do you read? Do you read, over? This is control, do you read?
What is going on?
This is control.
Stop my scope.
This is Chase 1. We got his tracks. They go right up to a wall of rock.
This is Chase 2. Chase 2. We see him. We see him.
We have him. Chase 2 reports a visual 100 miles off course.
He's gone through it. He's gone through the mountain.
There is a minimal disturbance in the electromagnetic field.